be learning Tanya Igeres Hakodesh Epistle 3 for Zayin Menachemov. We end the takeaway from yesterday's Tanya. The overview was being a recipient of divine kindness and love ought to elicit a feeling of humility and unworthiness rather than entitlement and grandiose. So it's really the opposite. In normal situation, so-called normal situation, you see that people who have more abundance, usually the arrogancy comes along with it, the feeling of entitlement and grandiose. But the way it's supposed to be is the more you get, the more love Hashem is showing you, the more humble you need to become. So the takeaway from yesterday's Tanya was an improper perception. The more blessed I am, the more unique I must be, the greater I am. A proper perception, that's the improper perception. A proper perception, the more blessed I am, the more God looks after me, the humbler I ought to be. Okay? So today's overview for Epistle 3, giving charity creates garments which ensure that the infinite godly energy rests upon the giver and that no extraneous forces draw from this energy. In today's lesson, just as a coat of mail, a defensive garment made of interlinked metal rings, shields, so does tzedakah fill in the gaps in the system of godly energy flow, ensuring that negativity does not slip in. This is a statement from Isaiah 59:17, and he garbed himself with tzedakah as with a coat of mail and a helmet of salvation upon his head. The pasuk in fact speaks of God's promised actions in defense of his people. Nevertheless, the deeds of Jews that mirror God's deeds serve as a vessel which can receive, or as a means which can bring about God's reciprocal action. V'dor sh'obisenu za, ma shiryon ze kol klip u'klip tzav shiryon godol, aftzoko kol pruta u'pruta v'tzav cheshbon godol. On this pasuk, our sages of blessed memory commented, just as with chain mail, all the individual scales add up to form a large coat of mail, so it is with charity. All the individual coins given to charity add up to a great amount. The Alter Rebbe now anticipates a question. What is gained by this analogy? Surely it is just as obvious that all the individual coins given to charity add up to a great amount. What's your chiddush? What are you telling me? That you give $1 today, and $1 tomorrow, and the next day another $1, so it's going to come up to a great amount. It's obvious, isn't it? Yeah. So, what is the analogy? This means, and this is the additional point being made here, that just as the mail is made of scales covering gaps, this armor, and these shield one against any arrow entering through the gaps. So it is with the act of charity. As will presently be explained, the spiritual dynamic of charity comprises A, an element that corresponds to the chinks in a coat of mail, and B, an element that corresponds to the protective scales, the coins that cover those gaps. The meaning of this is as follows: charity is greater than all the commandments, for their performance produces garments for the soul. The performance of the commandment provides the garments that enable the soul to withstand the intense degree of divine revelation to which it will be exposed in Gan Eden, instead of being nullified by it. These garments are drawn forth from the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof, deriving from a source which is infinite. They enable the soul to cope with the infinite degree of revelation which it will encounter in Gan Eden. From the level of Seviv Kol Almin Kamvur, Pirush Memale Kol Almin, Seviv Kol Almin, Kut Amorim Ayisham. The meaning of Memale Kol Almin and Seviv Kol Almin has been explained. Kut Amorim, see there. V'Yisausu Deletato, Mitzvos Havai, V'Rotzon Baruch Hu. These garments are brought into being by an arousal from below, the fulfillment of the commandments of God and the will of the Supreme Being. Since the commandments emanates from God's supreme will, from the level of Seviv Kol Almin, encompassing light, they serve as the source for the above-mentioned garments. The essence of this efflux from the infinite Ein Sof light is a garment and encompassing light for the 10 Sephiros of the 4 worlds, the 10 manifestations of the 4 worlds, Atzilus and emanation, Bria, creation, Yetzirah, formation, Asiya, action. Which evolve from cause to cause and from wrong to wrong. This Sephirah is being referred to as Memale Kol Almin. The Alter Rebbe now answers the following question. Since the Sephiros themselves are the divinity of the 4 worlds, why do they need the infinite Ein Sof light as a garment? This means that the Ein Sof light vests itself and radiates in an indwelling manner within the entire evolving chain of the 10 Sephiros of the world of Atzilus B'Yatzir Asiyah. Moreover, it gives rise to the 10 Sephiros of the world of Atzilus, which evolve into the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. The Sephiros of Atzilus serve as the divine illumination for the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. This is made possible through intense, immense contraction that is explained in Eitz Chaim, the writings of Rabbi Chaim Vital, the disciple of the Arizal, Ari HaKodesh. The resultant light is referred to as an indwelling light, a light that vests itself in an inward manner within created beings, inasmuch as it is contracted to match the spiritual capacity of the particular created being in which it is closed. Now, by the fulfillment of the commandments, the above-mentioned encompassing light is elicited and radiates within the 10 spheres of the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, thereby uniting with the indwelling light. When this occurs, the infinite and transcendent light, or Makif, permeates the indwelling light, or Pnimi, of Seder Ishtalshelus, the self-obscuring and chain-like descent of the divine life force, through which increasingly material worlds come into being. Venikra Yichud Kuchabrichu, this is referred to as the unification of the Holy One, blessed be He. The epithet Holy Kodesh, signifying His separateness from the world, hence level of Seviv Kol Almin Shchintek Moshes Bo Makamacher, and His Shechina, the indwelling light, which is so called because of the divine presence descends and dwells within the created worlds, as is explained elsewhere. And from a reflection of the above mentioned encompassing light by means of a powerful contraction. A garment is made in the lower and upper Gan Eden, gardens of Eden for the soul level called Nefesh Ruach Neshama of men, enabling them to derive pleasure and attain some apprehension and illumination from the infinite Ein Sof light, which is diffused in the Garden of Eden, is explained elsewhere. For unaided, the finite soul would never be able to apprehend this infinite radiance. This is the meaning of the teaching of our sages of blessed memory. In this world, there is no reward for the fulfillment of the commandments. They do not say, in this world there is no reward granted. Rather, that there exists no reward in this world. For in this world, which is physical, and in a state of limitation, a state of great and most extreme contraction, it is impossible that any reflection of the infinite Ein Sof light should become invested, except by means of the 10 spheres, the 10 manifestations, which in the sacred Zohar are referred to as the body. The Alter Rebbe will soon explain that just as body and soul are incomparable, so are the spheres infinitely distant from the infinite Ein Sof light. As a reward for performance of the commandments, one is enabled to draw down the infinite degree of light, but this light cannot possibly descend within this world, which is bounded. In this world, there is no reward for fulfillment of the commandments. No such revelation can possibly be closed in this world, for whatever illuminates and closes itself in this world derives merely from the level of the 10 spheres, which the Zohar terms the body. For example, Chesed Roya Mina, the sphere of Chesed, kindness, is called the supernal right arm. Gevura, severity, is called the left arm, and so on. Just as there is no comparison between the physical body and the soul, so there is no comparison whatsoever between the 10 spheres of Atzilus and the supreme emanator, the infinite Ein Sof. In relation to the Ein Sof, even the supreme Chochmah, wisdom, which is the first of the spheres, is on the plane of material action. As is explained in Likutei Amorim. Therefore, through the practice of charity and deeds of kindness, whose fruits man enjoys partially in this world, since some minute quantity of the reward for the fulfillment of these commandments is enjoyed within this world, it follows that a microscopic ray of the infinite light of Seir Kol Amin does descend into this world. This is possible because there appear, metaphorically speaking, gaps in the supernal garment that envelop the body, which is the vessel of the 10 Sephiros. Through these gaps, light and abundance are irradiated and diffused. So that from the sphere of Chesed, which is the right arm, there results longevity in this physical world. And from the left arm, which is the Sephira of Gevura, there results wealth and honor. And likewise with beauty, that emanates from the Sephirah Tiferes. V'hod v'hodor v'chedva, and majesty, hod, splendor, hodor, and gladness, chedva, from the respective Sephiros of Hod and Yesod. Note by the Rebbe, the reference is evidently to part 2, which furnish a more extensive explanation of this subject than is offered here. However, in order to prevent the forces of evil from drawing on high, from the light and abundance which evolves and descends netherward as far down as this physical world, this spiritual energy descends to such lowly level it is possible from the klippus and sitracha to derive nurture from it as well in order to forestall this. Likewise, here below, in order to shield man and to guard him and save him from all physical and spiritual harm, which could conceivably result in the klippus and sitracha, were to derive nurture from this source. The encompassing light is reflected back and, figuratively speaking, fills the breach. Once the encompassing light has, so to speak, shone down into this world through the chink produced by man's charitable deeds, it is then reflected back in order to fill the very same breach. This deprives the forces of evil of any possible nurture via the same avenue. For this encompassing light belongs to the category of infinitude and Sev Kolamin as mentioned above. And this infinitely transcendent degree of light, called Oyer Makif, is a source from which the forces of evil are unable to derive any sustenance. We see white tzedakah producing its own provident gaps and its own protective scales is likened to a coat of mail. And this is what underlies the above quoted teaching of our sages of blessed memory. Just as with chain mail, all the individual scales add up to form a large coat of mail, so it is with charity. All the individual coins add up to a great amount. The word great is used advisedly. In the spirit of the verse, great is Avaya and exceedingly glorified, without end, limit, or restriction, heaven forbid. So by means of the coins given to charity, one draws down spiritual light from the level denoted by the phrase. Great is Havaya. The four-letter divine name alludes to the 10 Sephiros, for the letter Yud represents the level of Chachma. The first letter He represents the level of Bina. Vav represents the 6 emotive attributes, the Midos, the spiritual emotions, and the final He represents Malchus, which is sovereignty, last manifestation. These Sephiros are sustained by the Ein Sof and partake of its infinite greatness. So the takeaway from today's essay, Epistle 3, the power of charity. It allows the infinite energy to be expressed in a physical manner, and the giver is blessed with material benefit. Let's do more charity. Bruchim Tiyah.